Good morning. I'll see you in a minute. I'll just set up my camera to the right position. So, just to give blood today, so I'm just taking the plaster off. All right. I'm dangerously close to the edge of the iPad now, so I'll probably end up hitting it. I'll try not to. I'm going to bring you forward, actually. Okay. So, I wanted to put something. First, I was going to just do a sketch on this morning. I liked the dark being there, and I've got some white acrylic ink that I thought I could use for the flowers. And then I actually started getting into that idea, and instead of just a little smear of grey on there, I painted some ultramarine blue and what is it? Ultramarine blue and Van Dyke brown onto the back of this grey sketchbook. And off we go now. We do something anyway. These daisies are all over the place here in Scotland at the moment. Beautiful, dancing, bobbing heads, side of the road everywhere. I have a few in my garden. I've got bigger ones that'll be coming up soon. I wasn't sure if I had kind of spent my enthusiasm around these daisies, but obviously I haven't, because as soon as I saw them coming out, I thought, oh yeah, I want to paint them or draw them. No, the first thing I thought was I want to bring them home and sit them somewhere where I can see them. So I picked 3. And I put them in a milk bottle I had in the car. I'm not recommending doing this all the time, picking flowers or anything like that, and I rarely do it. But I thought I'll really savour them, you know. And making a painting of them feels like some kind of give back thing. Anyway, I obviously hadn't lost my inspiration around them. And very often it's the flowers that I love the look of, sitting there in the light, that I kind of decide then, oh, I could paint them, couldn't I? Or draw them, you know. So it doesn't start with, I suppose for me the thing is, it doesn't really start with a plan to make a painting. It starts with loving a thing so much that it's the logical next step. It's the logical kind of response, is to capture something of that joyful delight kind of thing. And then I kind of got interested in what I could use. And very often then, like, I end up changing my mind about what, or metamorphoses, you know. I had the idea that I would use the white acrylic ink, but then the fine line of the black seemed to be calling me there. Doesn't matter, I'm not sure. Does that really? It's just what's helpful is something happening from a place of inspiration, and it hasn't been like that for a wee while. There's been a fair few weeks now where it's been the last thing but inspiring for me, and I've been unsure how to proceed, like whether to push through or give myself a break. And in the end it was kind of a combination of the two things, pushing through a bit by showing up a little bit every day, and then giving myself a break by like heading off. And I went down to the Borders yesterday. I had a lovely afternoon in the end. Sometimes it's kind of hard to let yourself really just be and give yourself the space, like, kind of funny, isn't it, that we can't let ourselves just softly be ourselves. Like, it's a bit of a, I find it anyway, a bit of a process for me that I have to, and I forget about it. Like, I forget about the discomfort of just doing what I want. There's a whole thing about feeling you need to first sacrifice something before you can. So especially feeling blocked and stuck and not worthy and not doing stuff, like from there it's hard then to give yourself a day off, without feeling an obligation to perform in some way or to have some result out of it. But so it was a harrowing there was a harrowing part of the day yesterday where I was like, feeling a bit rotten. But it ended up that I went to this beautiful community garden on the way home, and the sun was shining. And to be honest, what I do when I'm like that is I say a prayer and just let it go. I kind of just say, right, this is the situation with me. I seem to be kind of loathing myself a bit here. And I just pray that something else can take over, and I put the day between two Hail Marys. It's funny, isn't it? It might sound really funny to do that, but that's what I do. I say it in Irish. Something makes it feel different if I speak the prayer in Irish. Anyway, that's what I did yesterday. And I suppose I would consider that to have been the turning point. I stopped beating up on myself and decided someone else was going to take over the mantle of looking after Anya here. So all I need to do is just breathe and move through the day. And that was enough to release the whatever awful grip had hold of me. And then I listened to this really lovely podcast first with Ada Limon, a poet. And actually I was in Peebles when I was listening to that, looking out the window of a cafe, and the ride out was happening in Peebles. So this main street was closed, and there were about 100 horses, people on horseback, and then there was a big brass band marching through the town. It was a really spectacular thing, lovely. So I suppose there was a fair few things that kind of could have been catalysts there. But the poetry is one of them anyway. That's always a winner for me. And I feel like poets kind of understand the need for stillness and quiet and silence and stopping and slowing down. And so I don't feel in their company as though I'm anything strange to be wanting that for myself. Ease and rest. And I know it's important, to kind of settle back into my own rhythm of things. Anyway, so I listened to that podcast and saw the ride out and everything, and then I found another podcast. Your man who wrote The Body Keeps the Score. And that inspired me that was just a lovely, another kind of forgiving, compassionate kind of voice, And it reminded me of the value of yoga. And so today I went back into my yoga meditation draw. Carry on. But it seemed to come from a place where I feel inspired rather than a routine, kind of desire to rigidly follow some routine, like. So that was good. It felt like yeah, it felt like good. And one of the most beautiful things about that yesterday was on the way home in that beautiful woodland. I ended up sauntering around. Really, I just went for a brief, what I thought would be a brief wander, but it was actually magical there. It was incredible. I went for a mile and a half walk. In the end, there was a circular route, but I took my time, and the sun was low in the sky in the evening, and it's a very beautiful woodland. It's boglands really that have been, properly kind of re-established. So there's beautiful things like that cotton fleecy stuff that's like magical. It's like floating hankies above this the moss. There's loads of sphagnum moss there, and it's like there's a lovely mysterious quality to the mystical almost, I would say. Like there's dragonflies there, and it just feels like really lovely how they've created the walkways with tunnels of trees, so lots and lots of green, but also large areas of bogland and moss, and I just love that. Like the feeling walking through it was magical. It was really fantastic. And then, I did a bit of spontaneous kind of Tai Chi, my own. It was about slowing down, and I really slowed down. And I forget, and I've written about it so much, like when I get into myself into a tiz or something, slowing down to the pace of my own soul or something, stillness is that's the priority, kinda, just to slow to stillness. Anyway, I eventually figured it out again. I remembered, and so I did a little bit of Tai Chi in the sunshine, like I say, on my own version. I don't have any yellow for the centre of these. My own version of Tai Chi, but I was barefoot and took my cardigan off, and I had my bright blue top on that makes me feel lovely. And the sun shining, and the sky was bright blue too. And I was between two little boggy ponds, and it was the business. So I did a bit of movement, and then headed for home again. I like doing a circular route too, where you don't end up going the same way twice. But it was a magical evening. And then I had the sensation, and so I was thinking, there's a whole thing around, like when you get into that state with yourself, do you not find that you end up questioning every single move you make? And I had been questioning my eating habits, and kind of telling myself I was doing everything wrong. And suddenly a joy for eating food came back, and a sense of wanting to spend time in my own kitchen pottering around making stuff. So I got the ingredients for some Irish, what they call wheaten bread here. We just call it brown bread at home, really. But it's a lovely, I made it in the loaf tin. And God, it was delicious. And while that was cooking, I made some soup and a curry, chopping the vegetables. And, it was very nice, like, to just spend all that time. But the main sensation from that was this kind of flow and feeling slow and like not rushing. Like oftentimes in the kitchen I'd be rushing. This wasn't about that at all. It was about the joy of the quiet process of it. Like, and I mean, I had, like I said, no, there were harrowing moments to the day yesterday. Like, so it didn't bode well. But it was a lovely thing to have arrived at a point where I felt home in myself again. And I mean, it was 12 o'clock before I sat down and had my soup and brown bread, but it was delicious. And I'll have some today now again. So, there you have it now. That's the lowdown. And I guess I had been in a kind of a stuck-all kind of state, alright. Get in and out of that, don't we? You could call it stuck, or you could just kind of decide that there's some fallow periods in our lives where things don't really motor along as swiftly as they do at other times. And that I think the acceptance of things is the main thing for me, because stuckness happens, I think, when there's no acceptance of my own rhythms, and when there's just a kind of a cracking whip saying, come on, for feck's sake, okay, that's enough now. There's a certain amount of relaxation allowed, but you can't be taking the mickey altogether. Like, you know, that voice comes in, and I just think, nah, I need to get used to shutting the door on that one. At times when I just need to stop, like, and it might not be because I'm physically after exhausting myself. It might simply be because I'm tired, or I'm somehow not okay. There's some sort of not okay happening, and rather than power through it, which sometimes can be the answer, this time it was to slow down. I don't know if powering through is ever the answer, is it? I don't know. I suppose it depends. If it's just apathy, and like, sometimes it helps to see other people and go to something. But I like to, I don't know, a bit of an investigation for myself. So I'm kind of curious at this stage of my life now about what's contained inside my own self. Like, what is the motivation inside in myself? What are the things that I'm inspired and interested by? And like, to surprise myself with it, you know, to really, really be curious, stuff that I've not known about myself. I think we have to do that. I think we have to be our own advocates in life, really, in the end. And I'd imagine it makes us better company anyway. But that's not the reason for it. Like, we're here as ourselves, and surely we to God finding out what we are. Finding out what we've got as well inside in us, like. That's a big thing in satisfying living. Because, like, I suppose I'm saying it because for me it's been a struggle to stop doing what I think I should be doing. That's one of the things that I kind of have this whole, like, oh, I should be one thing or another. And when that's the driver, you're kind of in trouble. Trying to sort things out for what the perceived best idea I should be doing. Like, what is it that other people, it's an awful second guessing kind of a thing, because you're thinking, okay, what is it now in this world that I should be doing based on what I'm seeing around me, rather than based on what I'm feeling within me. And when you come from what's going on inside you, you kind of do get the old surprise and stuff. It's the lovely thing. Stuff shows up unbidden. That's exciting. And mesmerizing, and you know, that thing of being, that poet Ada Limon was saying how important she finds hope, and she said, and if you can't have hope, at least have awe. There must at least be some awe. And I think the thing about letting yourself be is that you can slow to this pace of awe. You find things that are awesome, astonishing beauty. And stopping yesterday at that little wild garden, that was full of awe for me. There's no black coming out of that. A little bit. Excuse me. I might just put a touch of the dark in with the thin, a bit of cross hatching or something with the thin black, because I do want it to be tonally accurate best I can. The inside of that vase is really quite dark, and it highlights the brightness of the stem then. It's just finding the curved edge of it. I haven't quite got the angle of that stem, it's more straight up. Let's change it. Anyway, I went to the paint shop this morning. This is the thing at the crux of it then, is that you end up, slowing right down, having a day where you let yourself just feckin' be. At the end of it, if you can tolerate if you can find compassion for yourself, like, at the end of it, then you end up with great movement just happens, things change and shift and you feel inspired to do different things. So this morning I decided it last night actually, I went and bought myself some paint for painting the walls, the kitchen and the bathroom and my own bedroom. I'm going to simplify things in my own bedroom so that I've got a nice clear space to be in there. And part of it is involving painting colours I like on the wall. So next week I'm going to be focusing on yellow, and I actually ended up buying a yellow paint, and I think I'll buying a tester. Like, I'm all into the testers, and the thing is with testers, they all look nice. So in a way, I'm kind of ending up with more varied colour on the walls everywhere than I first meant. So the kitchen has got 3 different shades of blue-green in it, because I liked all the tester pots, and also because I couldn't be bothered to paint them again. Like, I just used the tester pots and that was it. But I've got some paint for the ceiling and the doors. I've done well, haven't I? I'm doing well in myself now. And there's a few other things as well to report, but I can't think of them now. Shall be in touch with you again, and I feel like I'm back in the saddle here now a bit, aren't I? This is kind of a nice colour for that highlight on the vase. Okay. There's a black here too I might use for there. I was kind of annoyed that it lifted off the paint. And then I'm going to see if I can find some yellow. I've got my watercolour bag beside me here, so I could even just put a thumbprint of cadmium yellow on for the centres of the daisies maybe. Trying to see where the back of the vase is. There. Right, yellow. Guaranteed it'll be at the bottom of the bag now. We'll find it. Okay, I've got a couple here. What have we got now? This is quinacridine gold. can try that out on here. And then it's a nice colour. It's not so much the colour I'm seeking, but it's a nice colour. And then that's more of a lemon yellow, I'd say. What about this one? Cadmium yellow. Hopefully this is the one now. I mean, I could do it with of the quinacridine gold in it, I'd say. We'll try the two together. Especially around the slightly darker side, I think the quinacridine is helpful in there. And over here, maybe just a little bit on this one, so it's more brighter yellow. And that's Fierce Bright altogether. I think there might even be a bit of lemon yellow on the right hand side of this one. Not really, it's more cadmium, isn't it? Just move it about with this pencil. I need to lift off some of that there. It's okay. And then some more cadmium, I'd say, on this one. And I come back in with my white in order to clarify the edge a bit there. I mean, it's not exactly the colour that I'm seeking, but I feel like it's good enough. Yeah, a bit of light on there was nice. Where did I put that other? It's more this kind of a colour, I think. Slightly kind of beigey white shine on the vase, and then the inside of it over there too. And even there's a bit of a shine at the edge, reflected. On this side too, maybe. I think that side's more kind of a greenish grey. And there's a tiny, there's this white as well that might work. Let's see, I don't know if it's going to work over that black. Just to give a different quality of line. I forgot I was going to use this blue as well somewhere. This is a watercolour pencil, I think. I think it's ultramarine, yeah. No, Indianthrene blue. And I mean, it isn't actually the colour really, but luckily I had some yellow on my finger that made it a bit more like the colour. And the texture too. I'd say I might stop now, for goodness sake. Stop there. So, don't know if you were able to see all of it or not. That's what happened there today. And it was those flowers I was looking at in that vase. That's one of my favourite ones. Okay. Whoa. There we are. Okay, thanks. Nice to see you. I'll go and wash my hands and have that nice brown bread. Yes. Okay, see you tomorrow maybe. Who knows? I think I'm gonna do more of a daily one now then. Okay. Bye.